We are in part 5 of the estate series. If you missed, really part 3 and 4 are attached to this part 5. It's super important. It would be good if you could go back and see part 3 and 4 before you watch this one. Also parts 1 and 2, we started off talking about when there's a will, obviously when someone passes with a will, but it exceeds a limitation of time period and what has to happen after that. Parts 3, 4, and 5, I'm talking about what happens when there is no will and you are trying to locate heirs to be able to sell real estate. I'm in Texas, I'm Karen Hayes, and I've been in the real estate industry for over 4.5 decades. I am a licensed real estate agent. I am also a licensed escrow officer, and I have been in the title business primarily the majority of my experience over the last 45 years. I can tell you, I speak from transactions I've handled personally, which I've handled hundreds of transactions, many hundreds of transactions where we had heirship issues. So I'm speaking from my experience in the state of Texas. Laws in other states may be different, document names may be different. I would take the information that I'm able to give you, which hopefully will just spark some questions and allow you to ask questions to an attorney in your area so that you at least have an idea of where to start. We're talking about in this final episode, I could talk about this for hours. There are so many scenarios, family life situations you could talk about. Each one is a little different. I'm just trying to cover the basics so you have an idea of where to go, where to start, how to get there, and how to get real estate property sold when someone passes away. Let's start off at the beginning of part 3. Someone owns property. They are not married. They've never been married. They bought the property all on their own. There's not a spouse involved and they don't have any children. Okay? Just because they've never been married doesn't always mean that they don't have children. So let me be specific about that. They are a single person, they've never been married, and they have no children. They never adopted any, and they never had any children. In that scenario, you look at the heirs that are living and start with the parents. If both parents are gone, then you would step into the siblings. And assuming they had brothers and sisters, or a brother or a sister, then you would go to their genealogy first. You would look at their ancestry if they are not alive. If they're living, then that would be your heir. That could be determined through an heirship affidavit or an affidavit of heirship, and whatever the similar document's called where you are. In Texas, it is an affidavit of heirship or an heirship affidavit. That would determine who the heirs are, who the heir is, if there's only one, and there would need to be that person that's determined to be the heir that would sign the affidavit, as well as 2 disinterested parties, meaning non-relatives. It would be a family member, a pastor, a doctor, anyone that knew the deceased person for at least 10 years, preferably. Not a married couple to act as 2 people. That would be one person, and then you need another person. That is how we do it in Texas. I am not an attorney, and I am not giving legal advice. I'm just talking about transactions that I've worked in my career. I'm Karen Hayes. So let's talk about that. If you did determine one heir, it's a sibling that's a living sibling, they only had one, that would be your heir. If that sibling or siblings, if there's more than one, you would have to list them all. You would have to also know who their heirs are. You would have to determine heirship on them if they are not living, and then their heirs become the heirs. That can get complicated. It's just like building a family tree, but that's one of the simplest scenarios. Going from that simple scenario to a scenario picking up from my last video where someone was married at least once. Maybe they were married 2 or 3 times, and maybe they had children from these marriages, and you have to first determine those children and that are living, and then those that are not. If one of the children has already predeceased the person, then you have to look and see if they had children and if their children are living. It can get quite complicated, and it's not just a matter of putting that information into one affidavit, but any person that's deceased needs their separate heirship affidavit to determine their heirship for this transaction. Keeping in mind, this is not just pertaining to one type of real estate property with a house on it. This could be lots, acreage, this could be commercial property, this could be any real property that the deceased person owned. It could be several properties in different counties, in different states. It can get complicated. My advice on that, not as an attorney, just as a person that's been through this with my own family, it is best to get as many facts of a person's life before they die. I am just here to tell you, make a record of it, make a story of it. You could even do an audio recording of all this so nothing's forgotten, and then put it on paper. That's going to help you tremendously as you go through this information. Let's say one of the heirs is missing. When I say missing, it's someone that perhaps everyone knew was a part of the family, but maybe they were distant from the family for some years. Maybe they went missing. Maybe they live another life out of the country. Maybe no one's spoken to them in decades. That person, you still have to determine what happened to them, and that is where a lot of times Ancestry.com can help you. Sometimes that's not enough. I've had people that had to actually hire an investigator to track down a missing family member. That's going to take some time. When you have a missing heir, you can't just forget about them as if they didn't exist. They do exist unless they're deceased. You have to determine up to that point that they are deceased, then you have to determine their heirship as well. Sometimes you know that a person may be in prison somewhere. Perhaps they moved out of the country, but everyone lost sight of where they were. No one's been in touch with that person. That person's life and heirship still has to be determined. When we talk about that is a serious issue, no matter where you live, no matter what your laws are, I think you need to find that person. If you can't, and it goes into the courts, there is a process in Texas, and I'm not sure about any other state. They probably have an alternative. A person would have to most likely be declared legally dead and go into all that through the courts. Maybe there's already record, and that's great. You just don't have it. You need to locate it. So far in my whole career of 46 years, have never had a situation that could not be solved. It took a lot of time, and I've seen cases go through the courts for many years, one in particular almost 20 years. It gets really complicated the longer it takes. The sooner that you can clear up these issues, obviously the better it is. As I said, I could talk about so many different scenarios. Everyone's life is a little different, and sometimes there are things that you thought you knew about a family member, but until someone passes away and you're going through different information that was left behind, sometimes it's through the investigation sources even, there are things that we don't always know about our family, and I can again speak from my own experience on that personally, not just in my work, but in my own family life. The idea is get a will, have a will prepared, be ready with your family. If you need to write your own little book, do that so that people understand your life. It can help people along the way. Some of you may live to be 110. By then, there are not a lot of living relatives or friends or family that are alive at that time. I would say sooner the better. Work on this. If you are going to be the designated heir or executor or executrix in an estate situation, get your facts as soon as possible. Don't be left standing with property that you can't sell for years because you don't have all the facts. If you have any questions, I'm always here. Reach out to me. KarenHayes.com. That is my website. You can contact me through there, through my real estate website. I've got 2 Facebook channels and social media also that you can find me. Karen Gilday Hayes, Karen Hayes. I am happy to answer any questions anytime I can help, whether I'm in your state or not. Have a lot of people located around the country that can help you as well. And I can also facilitate those relationships if need be. Thank you so much for watching. I'll pick up on some more information on estates down the road. My next series is going to be on divorce. I will see you there. Take care.